Fantastic. And where are we? Okay. And transcript. Okay. So here we are. And
Let's go.
let's go for it. And cheers to that.
Yes.
Okay. So hey Babus, this is Chatty from Cheers Chatty Podcast. And I have someone today who truly defines the game truth or dare. The truth, because the only story in a beer industry is not just about being a brewer. The truth is also there's a lot of innovation in the beer industry. The dare is again a woman being in the Alcobev industry. And the biggest truth is she works and she campaigns for sustainability and green revolution. So I have Andria D'Souza out here. She calls herself the Technical Innovation Manager. Now, what is that? She's going to tell us all about it. But from what little bit I know from her, her career spans across supply chain, new product development, technical innovation, sustainability, and she's worked with some renowned companies, global companies like Heineken and Pernod Ricard. And this is Chatty from Cheers Chatty. And I'm going to be asking her some questions as I'm also the co founder of the Craft Beer School. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, everyone.
How are you? I hope I did enough justice to your intro.
Yes, you did. It's always funny to hear about yourself through someone else. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to talk to people about my journey. And I hope some of what I share is helpful to people looking to join the industry or are in the industry.
See, knowledge never goes waste. It always comes in handy, wherever it is. And there's something people always learn. So I'm not going to waste much time now with my blabbering, just because my
Mhm.
name is Chatty. So I'm just going to keep asking. I'm going to ask you the first question. Let's go back in some little bit of a sepia tone and go back to your childhood. I wanted to know a little bit about what kind of flavors and aromas your dreams had. What did you think you wanted to become when you were a child?
I wanted to be many things, including a food critic. I wanted to be a painter. I
Okay.
also wanted to be a forensic scientist. Brewing was never on the agenda. However, I will say this, taking sneaky sips of beer from my dad's glass probably laid the seeds of curiosity.
Okay.
But jokes aside, one thing that was common in everything that I have wanted to be so far is that it had a little bit of creativity. There was something to do around either food, beverage, around that theme. And there was an applied science. And I feel all these now show in what I'm currently doing. They're there in some shape and form.
Maybe somewhere you were just manifesting it and put it all together and you became what you wanted to eventually.
True.
But how did microbiology? Is that when you started growing up and you realize it's a little bit of flavor, it's a little bit of innovation, it's a little bit of something creative and science. That's how you decided to get into microbiology.
Actually, I would say my foray into brewing and distilling was an accident, but that accident happened because of my microbiology. I
Okay.
was, let me put it this way, when my Dr. Salunke's CSI dreams came to an end,
Oh wow. Good to be
um,
firm.
I remembered something a classmate said at the beginning of our course, which was that making wine was one of the most fun things we could do with our microbiology degree.
Okay.
And when those dreams didn't work out, I went to see if making beer could be as interesting and as fun. And lo and behold, the rest is history. So
Uh,
I started with microbiology more for my forensic streams, but it
okay.
eventually led me to my true love, which is working with beer and alcohol in general.
So you being a student, I'm just going to ask you something on that level. If you had to map the journey for students, who are pretty much uncertain about what path do they take, and how does beer education help? Where do you see, and how can that be projected to students, saying that, hey, you can try this too. See, for you, it was wine first, and then your curiosity led you to beer. So, but kids who don't know where to start, what kind of advice would you give them?
The very first thing is having curiosity.
Right.
Now, I know it was a very offhand comment that classmate made, but
Yeah.
there was some amounts of industrial fermentation that was covered as part of my course. But then that led to the curiosity of what other applications did something like this have. And that's when I started looking to it, I realized, oh, there are courses that do beer. But having said that, the other thing I will say is you do need a strong foundation in the sciences. So, say for
Okay.
someone who's wanting to do brewing, we, at least through university, you're taught through very structured narratives, but it's also seeing where your sciences are applied outside of what your course teaches you. Now,
Okay.
for microbiology, it was very pharma oriented, and then there was undernote of the fact is that it could be used in bread, in wine, in beer,
Yeah.
in creating specialty ingredients. But when I started looking in, that's when I also realized that there was such a big industry of industrial application for microbiology that was not covered in my course. But being
Okay.
curious about it
Hmm.
definitely helped.
Okay. I think it all starts with curiosity, and that's what permits all our minds to.
Yep.
But when I talk about the Gen Zs again, when I'm talking about what path to take, there are skill set that the I will talk more from a tangible perspective. Intangible, yes, curiosity and wanting to do something different. But with Gen Z, when they have so much options, and at the same time they seem a little sure, and but they're definitely sometimes unsure because they're spoiled for choice. What kind of skill sets do you think you could impart to them? Or you think they should have to watch out and say, yes, you're made for the beer or the Alcobev industry?
The very early thing that actually helped me make up my mind if I really wanted to do this was an internship.
Okay.
So I would recommend, if you are interested, definitely seek out opportunities or internships where you can get a feel of being in the industry, and not only so much as shadowing internships. Try and get like project-based internships, because when you start collecting or doing some little project for wherever you're interning, you
Yeah.
feel more part of the process, and then it actually gives you a real like a reality check of, is this what you want to do? Can you see yourself doing this day in and day out and more
Huh.
long term?
Okay.
The second thing is, this is something I didn't know when I started off, but that's how I actually joined the industry post my master's. Is
Okay.
a lot of the big brands do graduate programs. Now they're
Okay.
not specifically garnered to technical students. It's, they do lots of different functions, but again, they send you to different sites of theirs. You spend some time doing different work in different sites, and you get a very holistic view while doing these graduate programs with some
Okay.
of them. So definitely internships, look at graduate programs, and then we'll talk further a little later about having good mentors, like talking to people in the industry. I think that helps a lot. When I
Hmm.
started off, I didn't have that many people to talk to, at least back here in India, when the industry was not what it is today. But
Hmm.
you can definitely now, through LinkedIn, there's so many social media channels where people from the industry are social media creators, are sharing information. There's the likes of the craft beer school where you're sharing information. There's a lot of resources to reach out
Yeah.
to interact with, that at least you can get information, and then you can build your plan of action based on the information you're getting.
Okay. So, you spoke about international experience. So, I will still talk to you about the education part of it. How is the education different, especially in beer, internationally as against what we have in India? So, did you study something abroad and then bring those experiences to India, or you always worked abroad? How has your careers spanned, look from a education point of view?
So when I was looking to get into the industry, there was a lot of courses that were teaching you about enology and about winemaking. There were not that many on beer. I remember my first inspiration was Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, who had done some course on brewing in Australia. So that
Yeah.
was where I first started looking at opportunities to see if there was anything. And then an opportunity that didn't work out. And then while digging deep through a chat forum, I came across the name of my university, Harriet Watt. And then I realized it was offering a course in brewing, and it was the only one that was doing a master's. There was an institute in the US, there was an institute in Germany back then that were doing shorter courses, but it was for
Okay.
people already within the industry. It was not for people who were completely new to the world of brewing and distilling.
Okay.
Now, from what I know, the UK itself has like three, four different universities that are offering these courses, which was not the case when I first started doing the course myself.
So pretty much what was happening abroad is also happening in India in terms of education. That earlier there were not so many, but now you have a lot of options.
Yes.
Okay. And if you had to restart all over again, considering where you have reached, would you straight away look for a university in India, or would you just apply for an international university in today's day and age to study, to start your career?
Even back then, if I had found an option in India
Yeah.
that was recognized, I would
Yeah.
have taken an option there. So going abroad was more because I couldn't find things
Okay.
here
Hmm.
that I could use. And also, how well known that organization is within the wider industry itself. So just having some place that teaches you, I don't think is enough, because it also depends. The one thing that that educational institute also did is it had a lot of the big brands sitting on the board
Yeah.
of the education trust. So the thing is, you need industry to invest in the education year. So then
Yeah.
you have like good crossover between education and industry. I don't know. I have worked away for 16 years, so I don't know if that's the case over here. But
Hmm.
that would be definitely something that would really help if there's more industry funding universities over here. They fund the research, there are grants for students, because then you're building that network.
I would love to see UB Group and most of the other, all I wouldn't say just UB Group, but all beer brands, big ones, including the craft beer brands, all come together, institute a little educational system where students can come, they can learn, and not just for people who want to be in the beer industry and want to pursue a career in the beer industry, but even for people who are just beer lovers. If they want to do something, even a basic course about learning about how beer is made, what is the terminology, how to be a beer snob. It would be amazing. There's always so much to learn about beer because we talk so much over beer. Then why not even we get a little educated and enlightened? It'll be very nice. Like that's what we do at the craft beer school. It's meant for general enthusiasts, beer lovers, and also someone who wants to get into the beer industry and finally into the business as well. So there's always something for everyone. And it would be very nice if the big brands who've got the muscle power and the money power and they've got big heads, literally speaking, with a lot of CO2. If they can also institute something, it'll be nice. We can all get together and do something.
That would be the ultimate dream. Then you don't have to seek knowledge elsewhere. You can do it here, and it could have a more local, or rather, yeah, a more local flavor as to say what's relevant for the industry here. Because I think the other thing is beer is not only about how beer is made; it's also about how beer is sold.
Yeah.
And the one thing I didn't get while I was studying abroad is like how is beer marketed and distributed in India. That's also such a big part of making a product and working in the industry, is understanding the legislation behind it, how should it be marketed and sold in different markets. And I think if you have more of this in-house or in India, you can have course material that's relevant to the market here.
That brings me to the next section of our chat today is when we're talking about there's more to beer than just making the beer. So the common misconception that people have is that the only career that's there in the beer industry is that you're a brewer. Okay, it's like being in the acting industry, and the only thing that qualifies to be an actor is like being the lead actor or the lead actress. But that's not what it is. You've changed that. You've dared it, and you've done a lot of good work in innovation. Before I get into what exactly you did, I would want to ask you is that how did you break these barriers? How could you walk through all of them? and make a mark for yourself? What are the challenges that you faced?
When I started out, because I worked for a big player at the start, one of the way most departments were structured, there was the head brewer and there
Hmm.
were shift brewers. There was more people management and less technical application for my liking.
Okay.
And I didn't want to manage people. So I had to go back and evaluate what working in the brewing industry meant outside of the brew house.
Okay.
Um, so while I was doing this exploration, like I started off doing supply chain where I was planning both the brew house and packaging lines for a big site, and it gave me a whole 360 holistic view of everything that happens in the brewery. Like nothing could get done in the brewery without my involvement in it as a planner. So I got
Okay.
everything from supply chain, logistics, production planning, working with suppliers, all of that, which I wouldn't have had if I was just working in the brew house. And then while I was doing this, I got introduced to roles such as new product development and new product implementation, where
Hmm.
I realized that when there are your products that you are your bread and butter, and then there are your products that are new products, and the teams who bring that
Huh.
to life. And that made me realize that there are very different aspects, and they all still interacted with the brew house. So I never didn't have a point of contact with
Okay.
the brew house. I could still do what they were doing, but I got to do a lot more outside the brew house. And that's what made me realize that I would rather train as a technical specialist rather
Hmm.
than just someone who worked in brewing. The other stereotype, I don't know if that's still the case right now, but at least when I was starting off, people management was the only way sold to you as a way to get ahead in your career. We did
Oh.
not have this stream of specialists. You to become a specialist, you had to be a head brewer for X number of years, and you didn't get to be where the action is. So I
Hmm.
didn't want that. I didn't want like intermittent touch points with all the technical fun.
Hmm.
That's another reason to move towards a technical specialty. But one of the bigger challenges around that is given these roots of furthering your career.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge I had was trying to convince someone to give me an opportunity to make that switch
Ah.
because it was a chicken and egg. I needed to have experience to get the role, and I needed a role to get
Yeah.
the experience.
I know
So
what it means. Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to wait till the right opportunity, someone willing to take a chance on me. And the fact is that I absolutely refused to give up. And I would tell anyone who was willing to listen that though I'm working at this role, I am very interested in doing this. I would try and get involved in as many projects, even if it was not directly, even if it was contributing to some other really small little thing, just to keep myself involved in the loop to make that transition. And now that's what's bearing fruit. So it took me a little longer than most on my career progression, but I'm really happy with where I am right now.
And see, you did all of that. It's like wearing all the hats that are required. It's like being a multitude. And that's what helped you get in as well. Like today, if you will have a point of view on every aspect of the beer industry in any function across, and you also know what are the skill sets one requires for it.
I would say that what I thought was working against me in the past is actually what's given me my edge right
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
Because whenever I have applied for jobs, the one thing that's always stuck out to most of them is that I have a little bit of everything. So I am not siloed into one specific kind
One
of role.
function. But a little bubble in the beer mug of beer tells me that uh, there's a time where you were not allowed into the brew house just because you were a woman, and you were confined to the lab. Is that true?
So I started with a little internship in India before I left to go do my further education. And when I got told that the first time, I remember in my youthful arrogance, I was like, one day I will come back as their boss.
Ha ha
But
ha.
but having said that, in India, working with alcohol as a woman and also consuming alcohol, at least back in the day when it was not as popular as it is right now, had
Yeah.
certain connotations of what you were as a person.
Okay.
Then I thought, okay, I'm studying abroad, I will work abroad. I thought, okay, maybe this will not be the case. But
Huh.
then the narratives there were, oh, if a woman falls pregnant, she will be away from work for X
Yes.
amount of
Yeah, that's
months.
the usual. Huh.
Then she will not be physically capable because it is quite a manual job in the brew house. So she will not be physically capable like her male counterpart. She'll not pull her weight.
Yeah.
And then when I got past all the gender related stereotypes, because I was young, because I came from a country with not a well established drinking culture,
Hmm.
sitting in rooms with veterans in the industry and trying to get them to take your point of view seriously,
Seriously.
my age and my background, so to say, was also something I had to overcome to get people to take me seriously, to be like, I deserve an opinion. I know what I'm talking about because I am making the efforts to be and learn my craft and actually get better at it.
But tell me, if you had all of this, you young, you didn't have that kind of experience, but you had the skill set, you had the aptitude for it, everything the way it is. But if you're gender, if you're a guy, you think it would have been easier for you, or is it gender agnostic? For anyone, it takes some time to create a mark in the beer industry.
It was a little bit of both. See, some are very functional biases. For example, I've mentioned about shift brewers and that being the mix. So, say
Hmm.
when you're starting off as careers to manage, you have to work night shifts.
True.
Breweries are very rarely set up in areas that are the best or have
Middle,
easy
yeah,
connectivity.
true.
So,
They're
there
not
are
middle of the city.
yeah, so there are practical considerations like this that you have to work through. So some of these biases come from, or rather, these stereotypes come from such kind of issues. Some are because people have been in the industry for so long, and there has been a perception that, oh, the women work in the office or they work in the quality lab. There are actually, in all my time working in breweries, very rarely did I see that many women, forget managing the shift, who were also working as part of the shift.
Oh.
And it also depended on whether they had supportive colleagues or they had colleagues who were threatened by them based on how they were working.
The entire environment.
Sorry?
I said it's the entire environment that you work in. It's, one is what you bring to the table, and plus what the room is filled with. Sometimes if it's toxic, then you can't be hanging around there, whether you're a man or a woman. And particularly for a woman, there's also the safety and security issues that are there. Then you rather not want to see yourself out there.
That's very true. So I think a lot of people just internalize these perceptions.
Yeah.
But again, this is why I say that, it's not the limitation of the person working in your team. If you had any other person who was not able bodied and you
Huh.
try to make an exception or try to work around them so they could do something, then why not take into account some other aspects
Hmm.
that you think that a woman is bringing to the table and create working solutions around that. And I know it's possible because when I moved to Sweden and I was working with people there, I saw the kind of support women were getting in the industry, and they were the heads of manufacturing, they were heads of site, and they were not extremely old. They were like in their late 40s, early 50s. So that means, they'd had kids. They
That's
probably had multiple kids. They had had support through that from the companies, businesses, through their colleagues. So the thing is, it is possible. Is there the willingness to develop that kind of environment and support on your sites?
absolutely. It's not just about saying that it's a great place to work, but everyone walking the talk and making it conducive for everyone to work, across hierarchies and across genders too. Which most of the times it is only a PowerPoint presentation, or it's part of a pitch deck, or just a brochure or a vision or mission statement, I would say. But yes, there a lot has been done, and you do see a lot of women in the beer industry now. Like, for instance, when I started my Cheers Chatty podcast, I started looking at women who are in the beer industry. And much to my surprise, I, the list was endless. And it's not as if they all came from the cities. In fact, most of the women that I had guests on my podcast, they're all from smaller towns and far more very driven, very enthusiastic, and they made their way in the industry. So kudos to all of them, including you as like today I'm speaking with you as well. So uh, life is changing, things are changing, and whether or not companies want to acknowledge it or not, they have to make that change. If it's not just about selling a product and making profits, but it's also about people.
What you just said is music to my ears. I would like to meet more such women.
No, there are tons of them. You just go to my podcast. There's so many of those women. But I'm going to focus back to your career choices and innovation. We've been talking about saying new product development is a very big part of your expertise. And for me and for people who are listening to us, can you break down what exactly does this mean in the beer industry? What is its place, and how does it contribute towards the potential of the industry from a business perspective?
In very simple terms, NPD is a way to attract new consumers to your brand, and it
Okay.
is a way to keep existing consumers interested.
Okay.
That's from a very business point of view and the tool that it's used. But in terms of how a brand uses it, it's so much more. It's such a powerful tool. It's a way to showcase your expertise. It's a way to showcase your craftsmanship. It's a way to show your consumer why you are best in class and how you stand out from the rest of
Okay.
your competitors. It's also a way I feel you can interact directly with your consumer. The consumer has needs. Through your process, you distill those needs into a tangible product. And when that consumer buys that product, it's like a handshake between the business and the consumer. So it's a story that you tell together, but you do it with new products, trying to show how innovative you are and what can you actually do for the consumers. Sometimes you probably want to introduce them to new ideas. Sometimes your consumers are the ones who tell you what they want. So it's a nice give and take between you and your consumers.
Give me an example if you had to simplify it.
Now say you want to create a vodka with a new flavor,
Okay.
or so you start off with your consumer research to maybe figure out, does the consumer even want a vodka with a new flavor? What is this new flavor? What are the flavors that have them interested? Then you can either just make a product with that flavor, or like maybe you want to show them how good you can do this. Maybe you will find an innovative way to deliver that flavor through your product. There will be.
Okay. So from the need, you start researching from the need to finally making the product and everything along the line that is required for it, including researches and the product development. That's what you would do.
Yes. So you'd always start with research. One is to see if something like this already exists, to
Okay.
see the thing is, how do you get to know what your consumers want? There is already research that is being done. Or if you think that in this space you don't have a product which could probably consumers could be interested in, you probably go out and conduct that research yourself. And then based on those insights, you start looking at what you want to develop. So you'll come up with different ideas of what you want to develop. You take those ideas out to test. Do they have any legs to them? And based on what's attractive ideas, you start actually developing products that could fit those ideas.
Okay.
And you'd have a lot of back and forth with testing and creating prototypes.
Hmm.
And through the process you'll finally come up with a shortlist, and again you test those shortlist with your consumers to see what do they like about it, what do they not like about it, where can you tweak something before you finally take that final product and industrialize it. And then of course in the background there's the marketing. There are people who are looking at the storytelling around the product, how they're going to convey what the product is for people, how you design the packaging, where will you actually package this product, whether you'll do it in-house, you do it out-house, where will you sell it? Will you sell it at bars? Will you sell it at convenience stores? Will you sell it online? There's a lot of work that happens in parallel, but everything starts with the research.
Research. So it's not exactly a technical job. It's everything. It's from the idea to the science of it, the marketing of it, the business of it, the product development itself, everything. Don't you think so? And communication, finally putting it out there and so that people pick up that bottle of vodka.
It depends on which of these aspects are you working from, because new product development is not done by one function. So
Okay.
you have
Yeah,
a
basically,
marketing,
yeah. Yeah,
you have
marketing.
a technical, but the thing is you have to be able to speak each other's language well enough to know what the other is trying to say. Like I need to understand enough of marketing speak to know if someone tells me they want a product that is refreshing, I need to know as a technical attribute what could make a product refreshing. And the same way, if I have created a lovely product, the marketing teams need to be able to tell a lovely story around it on why we decided to make this product the way we did.
So in that case, when if you see the opportunities that you have um, in the beer industry, and I keep coming back to the main headline, it's saying that it's not just being a brewer is not the only story that you can tell narrate to the world, but there is a lot more. Like for instance, as you said about research, then coming up and then looking for the need for the product, creating the product, testing it, marketing it, looking at the distribution of it. There's so many things that happen. It's like a complete product cycle from innovation to developing the product to marketing it and then seeing the business potential of it. Therefore, the opportunities as careers is a lot more over there uh, across the entire industry.
True. And the thing is, it's not only what you do. There are a lot of service providers that work with you. Not everyone develops product in-house. You may go to flavor houses. You buy ingredients. You may work with ingredient suppliers who make specific ingredients for you. You work with OEM partners who also who package your product because it requires maybe a specific process. You work with maybe new packaging suppliers because they're helping you develop new packaging. You have to look, like, if I would say the site is a straight line, you can look at all the arrows coming inside, and every arrow coming inside
Yeah,
becomes an opportunity in itself to consider as careers.
absolutely. So right now, if I had to ask you, the emerging or trending careers that are there in new product development and innovation, what do you think are the chances of it being the most aspiring career that one can look for?
The way the industry is going now, there are a lot of cross category innovations. So, skills that don't only look at you from your industry. Like, for example, say Pepsi is going to launch a new alcoholic RTD. So, you need beverage or rather cola making skills and how all that is made. And then you need alcohol skills and how do those combine. So something that is not looking at just one product category, but more generic food technology based, like how different ingredients come together to make new products. I could definitely see that could be one. Two is there is a lot of alternate packaging formats that are being considered with quite a heavy emphasis on sustainability. That's part of it that's driving alternate packaging. But also, if you look at the cosmetic industry, they're not creating new formulations, they're just creating new formats of delivering those formulations. And the similar thing is in the drinks industry. It's not only about drinking it out of a can or a bottle. Like, what are the innovative ways? I recently read about one where someone had created a little seaweed bubble,
Okay.
and like when you drank that, that was like water that someone could consume during marathons.
Exactly. You just pop it in.
Yeah, so there are these. Then I would say even OEM skills, because when you start crossing categories like this, or you have different, who does the manufacture of these? A lot of brands, they have ideas but are incapable of producing these in-house. So
Hmm.
they start looking outwards to see where you can package. And also, when you're working as an OEM, you're not working with one brand, you can work with different
Multiple brands,
product
yeah.
types.
Yeah.
Then I would also say specialty ingredients. Like sometimes you would have flavor houses which create bespoke ingredients just for you, or you're finding a new way to maybe deliver a flavor to keep the flavor more intact, and then the way you apply that flavor in maybe a beverage.
Mm.
Those are also some of the things that are being considered. Like a lot of brands now are also looking at using adaptogens, uh, like other category ingredients in their product to make it more marketable to Gen Z. Then we talked about consumer insights. That will
Yeah.
always be big. Everything from product research, market research, trend analysis, competitor analysis, all of that. And then the final is, to me, is sustainability, because I don't think, whether we want to or not, there's no way getting around from that we contribute, we work in an industry which is not considered an essential industry. So we need to start considering our impact on the water, on agriculture, on the air. And also we use quite a lot of glass, aluminium, plastic, and to
Mm.
see how we
Good
can do
point.
better on those. Yes, how we can do better on those.
Because whether or not, like you said, we acknowledge it or not, we have to address sustainability. That's the only way we are going to sustain in this world too. Forget the business. We also need to live in this world
Mm.
and exist. We need to make it sustainable. And you've done a lot of work in green innovation. So I would like you to talk more about that. And where does it stand? And I'm sure there are a lot of career options in that too.
In terms of green innovation, the way you would look at the definition of it is that you work at providing sustainable options for maybe issues, or like solutions, sustainable solutions to issues currently within the industry. One thing I wish the industry did more of is that we design to sustainability. A lot of brands, at least, because you have products in the market for years, the consumers come to expect the product in a certain format, that we do a lot of our sustainable actions much later
Actually,
as
it's
part of,
not, yeah, it comes in the end.
like, you do a lot of value engineering and all of that much later. And also a lot of businesses do engineering because there is a cost component to it. And the secondary benefit
Hmm.
is the fact that you also can show better sustainability numbers. However, I think more need to start off designing their products and processes with sustainability as the default.
From the starting point, imagine having an Alcobev, which is completely, okay, may not be 100%, but somewhere, at least to a very large extent, it is a sustainable beer, for instance, if you could say. At every given point of time, sustainability has been taken into account to make sure that you are being kinder to the product itself and to the planet too, and to the human being who's consuming it, because it's going to make it healthy for them, healthy for the planet, healthy for everyone, and even for the business. Imagine doing a 360-degree sustainable Alcobev product, launching a brand on those lines. Yeah. It's not something like an ad campaign or a communication campaign that comes right in the end and saying that we are going green, or with the packaging. It is at every stage. There's so much of water, there's so much of resources, so much of natural resources that we use on a daily basis. This we are talking in industrial, even in our homes, we do a lot.
Mm.
So imagine the kind of impact our actions have on the planet. So, and if you can just launch a product which is completely sustainable or projected that way and is truly made that way, I think we've conquered the world to a very large extent.
I will say this though, sustainability, yes, it has broader definitions, but for every brand, you can define what sustainability means to you. And I don't mean in terms of optics, I mean in actual numbers. So the thing is, you don't have to be, say, a completely, like, not all of your ingredients have to be locally sourced. Like everything will be a trade off. But the fact is, are you trying to do the best of your abilities, make a product? Yeah, make a product that lives up to what you have set as your target. Like if you have said that you will use this much of recycled product, are you making active choices to include that? Like one of my biggest pet peeves is someone using packaging, like, oh, on coffee mugs you get the biodegradable cups,
Caps.
and
Yeah.
people and businesses trying to go like, but we're using biodegradable, and I'm like, But did you look at the studies that are done, which show that you need very specific conditions for it to be composted at an industrial scale? Most of this is still going to end up in landfill. But the
Landfill.
thing is, doing something because it looks good on paper, but doing something because you have considered. Like, I would be more in line with the business who say, no, we've chosen to go with plastic because based on our analysis for our kind of products, it ended up being the most sustainable choice because we can guarantee all the plastic in our product is actually recycled.
True. Makes sense. Let's move from the green innovation to the biggest thing that is in all our rooms on a daily basis. And everyone, it's the buzzword, everyone loves to talk about it and has a different point of view, the AI. Where does
Mhm.
AI feature in your mind, in your work, and in the industry? And where do you see it going to? Is it a friend or a foe?
For now, I would say that if, see, the brewing industry has data. If there is data, there is potential for AI. So, again, right through the process, wherever you're collecting data, there is a potential to use AI to use that data to give you whatever outcomes you want, be it efficiency, different ways of doing something. Um, it can be a friend, but it could turn into a foe if you think of AI as a replacement for people, and it will replace certain kind of roles, but it should not be. See, it's a solution, it's a tool to do things in a more
How to
optimized.
use it is important.
I always say this: AI requires data to be fed into it and trained. Who gives you the data? AI automatically doesn't know what data points to go look at, to what level of granularity. And as the industry evolves, so will the data. So you can't train and say that, oh, I've trained AI once. It doesn't need to be trained again. Like, you will need your subject matter experts who help you with what kind of data. You will need people who take the suggestions, predictions, whatever comes out of AI, and fine tune them into actual viable ideas. AI is only as good as the data you put in.
Absolutely.
And so I honestly wish that more businesses realize that AI shouldn't be used as a blanket replacement
True.
for people. For
Let it
certain kind
enable
of
you,
roles,
let it
maybe.
not cripple someone or disable them.
Yep.
It's interesting. So we're almost coming to the end of our session, Andrea. But before we wrap up, I have a few more questions. And you've done so much. Uh, it's it's really very uh, commendable. But I would want to ask you, what is that one most memorable cheering? I would say hashtag beer in everything moment where it's got the wins, it's got the milestones, it's got great stories, and that you'd want us to raise a glass to you. Right now, I don't have a glass, but I have water. But the big moments of your career in the beer industry or your Alcobev industry, how would you recount them?
They say you never forget your first. And true to that adage, I will say I remember my very first innovation project. That time I was not fully in an NPD role. I was more of a support function on that innovation project. But it was the first project which gave me a taste of working really hard to create something and then seeing it out in a pub or on a shelf
Oh,
and
yeah.
having something you can hold. So it was a product called Strongo Dark Fruits. That product was based off a cocktail that used to be served in pubs called Snakebite and Black, or Snakebite and Diesel. Basically, it was cider with a little bit of blackcurrant cordial. So we had a dark fruit flavored cider. And now Strongo was a very like male oriented drink. But this drink got so popular that we sold out even before we launched.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
so I feel like, working on an innovation that really was that big. And back then I used to live in cider country. So, everywhere I went, every pub I went, I would see a tap of Strongbow dark fruits and I would make friends and family try it out. And then you just know, like, oh my God, I have worked, this product has come out of my side. I've seen how much blood, sweat, and tears have gone over this
And yeah,
product. It's a
yeah.
different kind of feeling. And I still feel the same excitement for it like I did back then.
Okay. Yeah, that's you. If you have any pictures of that, please share it.
I will look. I have it of the product, but the cans have undergone change
Yeah,
since then.
do with it would be even more better.
I don't think I had taken any. Like back then, social media was not a thing. I used to just get
I
excited
think
to
you
just
need
bring
to
it
take a
out.
lot of pictures because you have to dig out quite a bit even this time when so in future you start doing that. That's one of the exercises we are giving you. Anyway, two more to go. On a lighter note, what's the most cliche comment people made about your line of work? Inside the
Wow.
industry, outside, family, friends, and how do you react to them? See, some of the reactions you might want to raise a glass and say cheers, and the others you could just want to like groan or just take a barrel and throw it at them. So literally, because you constantly face this. Brewing is the only career, and plus being a woman in the industry. So, what are the reactions that you normally encounter?
Um, I get a mix of these two, or rather a lot more, but these two are quite common. Or you must get a lot of free alcohol, which is correct. One, some of the perks for all the hard work. Two
Yeah,
is you must be drunk at work all the time because you're drinking all the time. And I have to tell people you have to kiss a lot of ugly frogs before you
frogs
get
only
the
get
right
the
prince. So I have to drink a lot of bad product before
yeah.
we get one good product. So it's not as fun as you would think it is. But my other industry wide pet peeve, which is I really hope people move away from this practice, is when someone is trying to sell their product from a smaller business, it's very easy to shit on a bigger business and
Yeah.
saying that we don't make up products with all these chemicals, but everything in beer is a chemical. And I think if you have a good product, pulling someone down shouldn't be an option. And I feel like everyone has started from somewhere. So when we drink, if we can have a little bit more appreciation of all the hard work that has gone in and in the background, because it's a lot of work that gets done to even make a pint of what you consider watery beer. There's a lot of work that gets done in the background, and a lot of people feel quite passionately about that work. So even
Absolutely.
if
That's
it's
how
the
they
product,
made it and they're there.
drink to their hard work instead.
Yeah. If even if you don't may not align with your taste buds or your preferences, but at least just say it's a well tried product. You can
I got told this early in my career, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's a bad product, and it's always stayed with me.
absolutely. Yeah, it's like giving out respect to the person who's made it. Every day you can't create some, and it is always a good product for somewhere in this world. That's the reason it has been made in the first place. Just because it doesn't suit you doesn't mean it's a bad one. But you are just not made for it. Simple. Okay. One for the road, two for the road. If you had to, with all the experience and everything in India, abroad, everywhere, if the craft beer school came up to you and said, create a syllabus on product innovation and development as a faculty member, would you do it?
Of course, you're giving me an outlet to talk about something I feel really passionate and I still geek out about. I would never say no to that.
So I'm signing you on right now, please. And all these people who are going to go, we have three of us here. Sandeep, thank you so much for attending this. And everyone else who's going to be listening to this on our YouTube channels and they're going to be posts on our social media too. Uh, Andria D'Souza is going to create a course on product development, innovation and development.
Thank you. Thank
my
you.
only my only condition is show some love, so I know how deeply people want something like this.
Absolutely. And unless we share it, people are not going to know about
Mm.
it. And you're willing to share. And that's what even we at Craft Beer School believe in. Share your knowledge, whatever be it. You don't need to be an expert. We become experts every day by learning a little every day. As simple as that. And
Right.
hi, Sandeep.
Hi,
Hi,
Sandeep.
hi.
Uh, I hope you enjoyed the session. Although I have one more question, and I'm also going to give it to you to ask any questions if you want to.
No, not.
Okay.
It was a good time. I was listening,
Where are you
doing some
from,
work.
Sandeep?
Yeah, I'm from Pune only and doing consulting in multiple places like Kobo, Kolkata, and
Okay.
Shillong also, the tap room.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
what do you do? Are you a brewer or you do something else? It's a very cliche question after listening to her question. Are you a brewer to ask? But what do you do exactly?
yeah, I'm a head brewer here at the Kolkata.
Okay,
Its outlet name is Kobo
oh,
Skyver and Bros.
nice.
Yeah,
Now, what's your favorite beer?
my IPA best
I
cups.
see. Speaking of favorite beers, Andrea, my question to you before we leave is
Mhm.
if you had to drink just one beer for the rest of your life, okay, one choice, which one
Mhm.
would it be?
Stout, hands down.
Brand.
I'm not a brand aficionado. I'm like in that category. You give me a good stout, I'll be happy.
And
Though I will say, if I was pushed, a close second would be fruit sours. It's not a category that's very popular that I see in India, but creeks are my absolute favorite. They give you the fruity notes, but they're like quite acidic. They're beautiful. On a hot summer day, it's lovely.
you should make that here. I think fruit sauce and yeah, you're right. They're not very popular in India, but like Sandeep, there are a lot of this the wit beers and the IPAs. I love.
Mm.
For me, the first is the stout, and then goes the IPAs. And
Right.
wheat beers are still low lying out there,
Mm.
but stout, nothing like a good stout. Yeah. On any day, anytime, I can start on that.
Do you have a favorite brand?
See, I'm a brand person. So
Mm.
whether or not I like it, I have to be aligned to some brands. When it comes to stouts, it's the cliche. Mine is the Guinness, and I make
Mhm.
sure I get my carton everywhere.
And what about the across India? Which stout you like in the any outlets?
Outlets, I like Toit.
Okay, okay,
Toit is good. I like effing good also. There are a few that are nice, and the other one that I like is the Gateway Tap Room.
okay.
Gateway Brewery. These are my this and in the commercial beers. Not that I want to put them down because I have rediscovered London Pilsner. I really love
Okay.
that beer, the mild
Mhm.
one, and I have rediscovered after having all the beers of UB Group. I like the regular premium beer. I love the crunch of it, the bite of
Mm.
it is extremely refreshing, and yes, it is also kind of nostalgic.
So, if you are planning to visit Calcutta any by chance, you must visit here. Kobo.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
I'm extremely happy and grateful to you for joining our session.
Done.
I hope you enjoyed it and there was something to learn and to take back home. And
Right.
I would love to host you. You tell me what do you want to talk about. We'll have you as well on a craft beer school, yeah, and the Cheers Chatty podcast.
Uh, no, it's not. I have your number also WhatsApp. Yeah, I think we had discussion about like last 2 3 years ago.
Oh, is it?
So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Have you ever been on my podcast?
yeah. No, no, not that.
I remember some Sandeep being there, but this was like way before COVID. But anyway, I want to talk about that. And Andrea is the lady of our today's session, and she's the hero. So
Right.
thank you so much, Andrea. And if there's anything that you want to ask me, you're most welcome to ask.
Thank you very much. It was a nice opportunity. Like I said, I have been back after years, so this is me rediscovering the industry here now as well. Like when I left, there were still talks about getting licenses for brewing within Bombay.
Yeah,
And now being in Bangalore, where every second, third pub is a brew pub,
yeah.
I feel like I have missed a big chunk in the middle. So I feel like I have a lot of drinking ahead of me too, of course, for learning purposes.
Like in Mumbai, every corner is a chai ki tapri. It's a little chai
Mm.
stall. In Bangalore, it's a beer stall. You go anywhere, you only see beer, beer, beer. You wake up to you don't wake up to filter coffee. You wake up to beer actually. So yeah, thank you so much for being on our show. Thank you, Sandeep, for
Thank
attending.
you.
And
Thank
any
you.
questions anyone has, please drop in. Andrea, I'm going to be posting this recording on our YouTube channel, and you're most welcome to share it with everyone. And yes, waiting to see you as part of our faculty very soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day, and thank you for this lovely interview.
Thank you. Cheers. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.